On this week's edition of Here's This, powered by TravelPulse.com, we're talking about the Association of Flight Attendants, where Union President Sarah Nelson is now calling on federal officials to make it mandatory for protective face masks for both crew and passengers on all flights. Now, Sarah voiced her request in a letter to the secretaries of both the U.S. Transportation Department and the Department of Health and Human Services. She said, quote, "Since flight attendant ability to practice social distancing is challenging in the aircraft cabin and on most other forms of public transportation, it is essential that we wear masks as often as possible so long as COVID-19 remains a threat to the public." Now, United Airlines was actually the first to respond quickly and said, in coordination with the AFA, we're going to require that all flight attendants wear a mask covering their faces to help protect the customers and them on board the aircraft.
There's our girl Sarah, always just jumping ahead. Here's my question though. The airlines need to supply their employees with masks.
I think so too. You know, I know that in Australia, when you check in, they actually have masks like at the check-in counter if you don't have them. I do agree the airlines here need to provide them if they're going to be requiring it of passengers. But so far, it's only required of flight attendants, but I think it should be required of passengers. If we're not going to shut down the aviation system in the country and let people still fly between hot spots and cities and whatnot, then they should be wearing masks.
I think so too. I mean, if you need to fly right now, you need to not only protect yourself, protect your family, but also everyone around you. And when you're in that confined space,
I know. Well, to me, it'd be crazy that you're making the choice to get on an airplane and you're not even bringing a mask with you.
I just think that at this time, right now, that's just irresponsible. And I think if you're going to be traveling right now, you need to be wearing all of the safety measures that everyone's talking about. Gloves, mask, bring your, hand sanitizer. Watch out for everybody else. I think that's such a big thing right now is we all need to watch out for each other, because if it's not you, then it's someone that you know, it's your friend, it's your, coworker. We really have to remember that we are all in this together. And the sooner we can all practice these safety measures, the sooner we're gonna not have to even be talking about wearing a mask on the
It's true.
Don't you think so?
I agree.
Yeah.
And we put this question on our Facebook page, and Dawn Rasmussen said, with all the canceled flights, all the full flights are now an issue with only half the passengers wearing a mask. And that's true, because there's so many canceled flights that airlines say have one flight a day now between, New York and LA. Now that plane's gonna be full.
And it's totally packed. I just saw a woman flying from Miami to New York, and half the passengers had a mask on. Some people had gloves on. It was kind of all over the place. So I think the airlines really need to kind of make a regulation, especially for their flight attendants, especially for everyone working in the airlines.
On Facebook, Liz Weaver said, "I've canceled all travel plans by air until at least August." And that kind of leads into this, that according to the New York Post, 2 new surveys show that Americans are actually chomping at the bit to get the heck out of home and hit the road again. Over half the respondents, 46% of them, said that they are ready to travel immediately after the lockdown is lifted, and a fifth of them, 19%, said that they'll wait at least 2 to 6 months. The other 18% said they aren't planning any travel. Nikki, I think you're in the majority.
Oh, I am first in line. I will be first at the airport. first in line. My bags are already packed, that's what I'm saying. But it is kind of interesting how everyone's kind of feeling very different about their summer travel. We're just about to get into such a interesting time. Think of all the family trips, the weddings, the honeymoons. We have so much kind of travel coming up, and I'm interested to see what everyone does this summer. I mean, I do a family trip with my mom and my aunties every year to Cabo in July, and it's like, are we going? I'm not sure.
Okay, now it's time for Here's More, where lately we've been focusing on good news. And I think the fact that folks are already willing to travel once the lockdowns are lifted is really good news. And
I think this is great news.
Yeah, and another survey, this is really interesting, 91% of people are willing to subject themselves to screening and testing in order to be able to travel. Are you?
Well, I think there is no more how things used to be. Yeah. I think this is just kind of, we all have to realize that we're not quite sure what the new normal is going to be. And I mean, I would be willing to, if someone has to, whatever screening process for everyone's safety that you have to go to, if it means that I can go to a beach and have someone bring me a margarita, I am willing to do that.
And I'm with you. I am with you.
Yes.
73% of people are willing to disclose their medical conditions related to a compromised immune system. 93% are willing to share their past 14-day travel history. 58% are willing to have their physical location tracked with data so that they are allowed to leave where they are to go somewhere else.
Wow.
I know.
It's just going to be so interesting how this kind of the new travel mandates are kind of implemented and then carried out. It's going to be very interesting to watch.
Well,
and you and I can be the guinea pigs of this.
Yes, we can. Well, we have 30 seconds or so left, but for those of us that are still under curfew and lockdown, you know, on the island of Kauai, when a curfew goes into effect each night, a mayor on Kauai gets bored and he posts videos on social media, and his constituents are very entertained. In some videos, he's making t-shirts into masks, he's making fried Oreos, he's making ice cream, he does elementary science experiments. He's got everyone on the island of Kauai entertained while they're stuck at home.
Mm-hmm. He's really kind of the essence of how the communities are on the islands, and he's a perfect example of bringing everyone together in such an extraordinary time.
Okay, so for this week on the go, how about we go for a quick trip to Arkansas? Nikki's silent on that. Okay, some unnamed regulars of the Colonial Steakhouse in Pine Bluff recently left a generous gratuity, which was reportedly the whole sum of their coronavirus relief check on a takeout order. Now, one of the owners of the restaurant said, quote, "We just started crying. It came at a time where most of our staff really needed it. And things really have been barely getting by, but we're making it through." And the owners of the Colonial Steakhouse gave each employee $100 from the tip that they received, including those that were not even working that day.
This is a great story. I love this story. This kind of just reminds me of this. In times like this, it brings out the best in human nature. It really does. What a selfless, awesome act. And just that domino effect of doing one nice thing for one person, and then that turns into it being awesome for like 20 people. Yes, that is great news.
And you know what brings out the best in us? The start of season 5 next week. We'll see you next week, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Season 5.